Hi, this is Ronnie, Amber's Night, coming at you with another video. I really wanted to add, uh, do a little series of videos about best and worst gaming experiences. And I wanted to tackle this from two sides, both as a GM and as a player. I'm going to start off with my best experiences as a GM. I'm constantly learning as a games master. I'm constantly refining my playing style as a GM. So I'm rarely completely satisfied with a game for that reason. But there have been a couple of times when I've been really happy with my games. Two of them are Call of Cthulhu scenarios for different reasons. One of them was an introductory one that I did for a couple of friends. And I just went with an old standard. I went with a haunted house sort of scenario. And the reason I'm very happy about that particular game wasn't that it was especially novel or unique in so much as itself. It was ghosts, it was a house, it was lots of things flying off and spirits appearing out of nowhere and so on. And your usual sort of thing. Why I enjoyed it is the fact that I actually had the couple at one point go to the toilet in twos, which has never happened to me before, and it's never happened since with any horror game I've done. And it was just like, yes, I've got them so swift they're going in twos to the toilet. That'll do nicely. So that was fun. Another Call of Cthulhu one that I did, I decided to do something a little different. I had a game set in the 30s, but I used the dragon gods from the Palladium fantasy game as the main protagonists. There was a small town. Some of the characters were there because they were investigating the disappearance of a bookseller, one of these travelling salesmen. And the others were there to investigate a plight of phantom fires, buildings, houses, spontaneously combusting. As the investigation proceeded, they eventually came to realise that there were these dragon gods that were trying to become corporeal, and they were feeding off the energy that was released when people were being burned to death. And I did all kinds of research on it. I researched the dragon gods. I came up with a tome, a brand new tome that is in Chinese. That have done all the. Obviously, I didn't write the tome, but I did the history of this tome, the spells that were involved, that were hidden in it, in case anyone decided to do to actually peruse it properly. And there were deaths, there were people going completely insane when the gods actually appeared, and the gods were eventually destroyed because they managed to get the army to show up, and the army bazookaed them all. And it was very well done. I used the hit location system from the Cthulhu Now game with the 20s version, so they all went for headshots and destroyed them all. And I think out of six players, 2 of them survived, but no one survived unscathed. So it was a pretty good game. I ran over like 2 or 3 nights. A fairly short adventure, but I made it work. Castle Falkenstein has been one of my most fun for writing scenarios for. I wrote a scenario that I called Gin and Tonic. It seemed rather appropriate and apt being set in Victorian times. But the actual game involved a travelling snake oil salesman who, rather than travelling around the Old West, was travelling in Britain. And he was selling his wonder tonic that would cure you of all your ills, the usual nonsense. he actually had imprisoned a genie, and was siphoning off the genie's magic energy and imbuing it into this tonic water. Um, and this is what was creating the illusion that people were getting well. The problem is, of course, that the genie wasn't particularly happy about being trapped, so he was actually cursing the energy that was being siphoned off him. And what would happen is that the people who would buy the potion, because as far as the genie was concerned, they were as much to blame as the snake oil salesman. You know, if there was no demand, snake oil salesman wouldn't need him. He would curse everyone that drank the tonic water. They would have their true heart's desire. It would actually look deep within them and find the thing that they really wanted. And the magic imbued in the tonic water would allow that wish to come true, and then it would invert. For example, if someone wanted to fly, you know, their deepest desire was to fly, yes, they would fly, and then they wouldn't be able to come down, and they would actually float up into the atmosphere and die. One person, their deepest desire was to become a dragon, and they did, and then they spontaneously combusted from the inside. And there were all kinds of things. I came up with all kinds of horrific inversions of sort of classic wish making, and my players really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game, my players enjoyed it, and I thought the title, because I do tend to give titles to my games, I thought the title worked. And it's by far and away, I think, for a short game, I thought it was one of my most fun that I've ever done. And I've done all kinds of games, all kinds of settings, and I enjoy them. So that's a few of my favourite moments as a GM. As I say, it's not that they're the only 3 games I run, or the only 3 games I'm any good at. I tend to set a high standard for myself, and I do this so that I try not to disappoint players. If I ever get to the point where I feel, hey, I know everything, I can do anything, I can do it all, that's when I think I'm just going to have to put the books away and say no more. So I'm always pushing myself as a GM. So that's me for my best GMing, and I'll come back in a moment and give you some of my worst GMing.